Hey guys, Anthro the Bloody Point. Here is a game that I came across on a YouTube ad. You've seen me put up gameplay from it recently. This is a bit of an introduction, or what is this game. This footage is from one of the cutscenes. It's a TCG. It's my first ever TCG. And I had some questions about why I hadn't heard about it before, which I will address.
Identify.
But this, ladies and gentlemen, is called Parallel. Now, I'd been looking for something to play, given that my other standards like PlanetSide 2 were not an issue, rather not an option. I love the art on these cards. And this is actual art. This is not AI generated. They're real artists who make this stuff. They even get a cut of the card sales, which is cool. So gorgeous. They have a lot of good cinematics actually on their YouTube channel. Okay, so a couple things up front. This game is available on their own website and also through the Epic Store. If you create an account and download it through the Epic Store, you get a deck of non-NFT cards. And you should also use a referral link if you're going to play, because it benefits you, not just the person whose link you use. So for those of you who've played TSGs, you'll be familiar with this kind of game. I was not familiar, but it was fairly straightforward. This is footage from the tutorial where it explains the concepts. As you can see, cards have an attack value on the lower left, a health value on the lower right, and an energy cost on the upper right. You have cards in your deck there at the bottom. To get energy, in order to play the cards, you have to bank them in the lower right. I guess this is, I'm told, very similar to Hearthstone, but instead of mana you have energy, and you have to actually bank the cards to get the energy. There are ways to ramp up more quickly by getting more energy than just one per turn. There are ways to spend energy, kind of like erase opponent's energy and so on. But you'll see now that I have one energy, and the cards, which are one energy cost, can now be played. Playing a card from your deck to the field is what's known as muster. And there are some cards which have a muster keyword, which cause something to happen when you do that. There are also cards which can be in the enemy's field, which will prevent these keywords from activating or manifesting. That card is pretty popular, and I kind of hate it. So just up front, like I said, I've never played any TCGs. I wasn't really looking for this game. It just popped up in a YouTube ad, and I clicked it, and I was interested by the art style. Very serious, very sci-fi, very consistent. Really, really appreciate it. And I've been looking for something to play because PlanetSide 2 is currently experiencing a bug which causes disconnects, which I just can't be bothered to work around. And there weren't really any MMOs going on, although Throne of Liberty launches next week, early access. I'll be playing that, so I'll have regular content coming up in my usual genre. But for now, I'm playing this, and I'm kind of obsessed, I gotta say. So you can see there's the muster ability that I mentioned. This isn't my usual type of game, and it also has a crypto element, which you don't have to engage in, but you can. And I've never done anything with crypto in the past either. What I did, my approach to this for informational gathering purposes, when I played for 2 weeks without doing anything paid, whether it's the battle pass or NFTs, and then I got into that to test that as well. So This is the tutorial match where it's teaching you the basic concepts. If you play TCGs, this will be like extremely straightforward and obvious to you. It wasn't for me because I had never done it before, but it's pretty basic and simple to follow. The tutorial does a good job of introducing these concepts to you, and you get plenty of opportunity to practice and so on. One thing I'll say up front again is if you are planning to play this, use a referral link. It doesn't have to be mine. Mine is in the description, but just use a referral link. There's all kinds you can find on the internet for game ambassadors and so on, content creators, because it'll give you what are called credits, 300 credits, which you can use to either purchase packs immediately or you can save up towards earning other rewards, including Glints, the game's RMT currency, which can be used to buy the battle pass. So you can actually earn the battle pass without paying a cent. And the battle pass, if you complete it, includes an NFT card. So you can literally get an NFT card for free. So that's a possibility, and it's something to keep in mind. In any case, so like I said, I discovered this and started playing, and the more I played, the more I liked it, and the more I looked into it, and I found there's like a whole ecosystem involved with the game, and the game's kind of like the developers' other projects, which tie into the NFTs, and I'll have more videos on that, but for now, just be covering the introduction to the game itself.
Together we stand.
So you can see there's a hand limit. You can have as many as 8 cards in your hand. There are cards which allow you to exceed that limit, but this is just a tutorial. Obviously, I don't have any cards. If you do follow if you do sign up through Epic, you do get what's called a creator deck. Creator deck is a set of NFT cards, what the game calls digital collectibles. Digital collectibles are what the game refers to, or how they refer to NFTs. These are cards which are purchased through various marketplaces, the game's own store, from other players on the exchange. You can get one from the battle pass, as I mentioned. And those are how you generate the game's currency, which is known as Prime. It's also a crypto coin. But again, if you sign up on the Epic Games Store, you'll get what's called the creator pack. You can choose a card deck that is composed of a single faction or parallels cards, and that'll give you 40 cards, which are non-NFT cards called apparitions, which you can use to like play and learn how the game works before you commit to purchasing anything if you want to do that. So that's a good start. You do get a lot of cards through regular play. There are daily missions and all kinds of different things, and the battle pass progression, even the free progression, will reward you with cards. So you're going to find eventually you will get enough cards to make a deck. It's not really a problem. Okay, so as you can see, some cards do various things apart from just supply damage. Oh yeah, I should mention you can see there's 2 health pools, the 2 threes at the bottom and top of the screen. This is my health and the opposing player's health. The goal, of course, is to get your enemy's health to 0. That's how you win. There are cards which reduce that directly. There are effect cards which you can see on the right there, which will they don't go to the field, they just play the damage directly to the target. There are ways to heal, of course, as well, so you can increase the health on both individual units and on players. Sorry, that effect card actually damage cards, not the enemy, but there's one that does the enemy. Yeah, and that's the basic goal. Get the hit points to 0. You have to manage your energy, of course, and there are cards which do defensive actions as well. There are 4 types of cards. There are unit cards, effects cards, upgrade cards, and relic cards. Relic cards are cards which sit below your field, and they do passive and in some cases active things. So that was just a tutorial, very basic, very straightforward. You'll see it'll kick me into an introduction to the Paragon. So beyond the cards which you played at the field, there's a Paragon, which is the card that sits on the lower left in the case of the player. And these cards have passive abilities in most cases and active abilities in some cases. The passive abilities will essentially do various things when you play cards, when you take certain actions. Some of them have options. In this particular case, you're playing as the Markolian parallel or faction. There are 5 factions or parallels: the Augencore, the Earthen, the Cathari, the Markolian, and the Shroud. Each of these have a backstory and lore associated with them. The lore in the game is actually another one of the reasons why I was really attracted to it, apart from the art. It's very, very cool. I don't know if I want to spoil it necessarily, but it was reminiscent of The Expanse in some ways, and I really appreciated it. So,
Catherine's not gonna make it, Captain.
Depending upon which
Lay down your guns,
parallel
give us
you
your
are in
ship,
and
maybe,
what paragon you
just
have,
maybe,
you have a choice
we'll
of
let you
3
take a safety pod
paragons for
home.
each parallel. You will have different effects and abilities for that card. As you can see, this one has a passive ability. He's what's known as the Paragon. The Paragons, there are no digital cards associated with those, no NFTs for the Paragons themselves. You can get what's called an avatar, which is a skin for the Paragon, which makes it look different, and it also will increase your earnings when you are playing and win, the earnings of the Prime crypto coin. There are multiple ways to increase those earnings, but I'll cover that in a later video. But yeah, the Paragons, it's the most important choice. It's the first thing you choose when you make a deck. It'll dictate your faction, and it'll dictate kind of this general strategy of your deck. Okay, so continuing the tutorial, you'll see there's an example of an upgrade card, one of the 4 card types. This will increase the stats of an existing card. Some of them do it directly, others do it based on conditions. As you'll see here, so the upgrade was triggered by the attack. One of the factions, the Augencore, is very much focused around upgrades. In the lore, it's a group that,
Taking this ship and the rest
when they
of the
escaped the
fleet, whether
Cataclysm
you
on Earth,
like it or
they
not.
did so in this foundry ship, and they essentially kind of like just augmented themselves over and over, and improving themselves with technology. So they're very much upgrade focused. And one of the things I've noticed when you play as Augencore is you have to balance
Hold
the
just a
amount of
little longer,
upgrade cards you
Captain.
have
We're
versus
almost in
units.
range.
And if you're really unlucky, I actually had one game where I drew 8 upgrades in a row and no units, so I was basically toast. It's pretty funny. Relics, as I mentioned, are one of the 4 card types, and they sit in the bottom. And they will do various things, either based on, when damage is received or dealt out, or when cards appear in the field, or cards are removed from the field, etc. There's many different types of relics. And there you can see an example of one. This is actually a good one. And there are synergies, obviously throughout this. Anybody who's played a TCG will know that. One of the fun things about the game is theory crafting and identifying synergies and finding stuff that works. And there's so many different playstyles. There is a meta, like I guess any game has a meta. And the meta in Parallel does change from season to season, it seems. And the current one, in most people's opinion, is not that fun, but I don't really play meta. I like trying to find my own strategies, whether they're effective or not. The one I'm currently running is fairly effective, as you've probably seen from my other videos. In a certain portion of the rank space, once you get to the top players, it's not as effective.
Now. Disengage or face annihilation at the hands of the Markolian fleet.
Some of these, so Markolian is a more offensive parallel, Earthen is more defensive, and others are kind of in between. One parallel or faction, the Shroud, has a unique mechanic, which is the use of a secondary waste pile called the Singularity, which can be used in all kinds of ways. It's pretty cool. I did play that for a while, but I have since switched to Augencore. So you have a lot of options, whether like a parallel or faction appeals to you
Fine.
aesthetically,
I'll
or
do it myself.
you know, in terms of statistically what it does, or strategically how it can be used. There's like something for pretty much everybody in terms of choosing a faction and also in developing the deck. So as you can see, the Paragon was played to the field. It's something you can do. The passive ability still continues to function when the card is in the field. It only does its active
Together we stand.
ability when it's actually played. The Paragon cards are, you know, some of them are meh in terms of what they do when played, and others are really powerful. So, you know, you have to keep that in mind when considering whether to play them or not. They're vulnerable, obviously, once they're on the field. Okay, so this tutorial is just covering the basics, getting close to clearing their field. You'll see an example of a card. Their card in their field at top right is a defender card, which means I can't attack other units until I remove that card. I also can't attack the enemy, which is the health pool at the top. There is a stat, a keyword, which allows you to bypass defenders, which is the evasive stat. If you had units with that, you could, there's other ways to get it. There's a relic, there's a couple relics I think which grant it as well. So yeah, there's all kinds of different things. Like, it's very easy to make mistakes or to miss opportunities, to blunder. There's a lot that you have to keep in mind when building your deck, choosing what cards to play and how you play the cards. You know, it's not just enough to like randomly take the cards out by doing the most damage. You have to think about what the next consequence is going to be. Okay, so the tutorial is like giving you the wheel. It's pretty basic at this point, given that they only have 4 HP left. So you can see there's a turn clock counter. Well, there usually is. This one's not going down, but in regular play that would go down, and in the tournaments, of which there are multiple types,
We can't do that.
you have a turn clock as well, kind of like in chess. You know, if you have a total of 15 minutes, and if you run out, even if you're winning,
We can't do
in
that.
terms of hit points, you will lose. And then you can see above the clock and below the clock are the deck, number 27 in this case. It's the number of cards you have left. And you can see the waste, which are the destroyed cards. There are other ways to put cards directly into the waste. There are ways to play cards from your deck directly without putting them in your hand and play them from the waste. Same for the singularity.
Nothing compared to the
There's a lot of complexity.
Well done, troops. And
I
well
don't know
done
if
to
this
you
is
too,
common for
Captain.
TCGs, given this is my first, but I definitely enjoy it. So that's the
Another
tutorial.
glorious victory!
Following this, I will put up videos demonstrating some of the next steps when you're playing the game, doing things like, you know, modifying your deck, going through what are called the rookie matches, where you do 5 matches for each Paragon or Parallel, and that gives you cards, including legendary cards. So again, my first TCG, my first introduction to NFTs or crypto and gaming. I've heard some questionable things about that in general, but so far I have to say I'm really pleased with what I'm seeing. And just from a pure gameplay standpoint, it's really, really fun. If you enjoyed the video, check in for more coming soon. If you plan to play, please use my referral link in the description. Thanks as always for watching, guys. Take it easy.